Hey guys, so Terastal Festival came out 2 days ago, and I wanted to kind of take a look at the Japanese market and pretty much make a video for people who are kind of new to Japanese market. Like I'm technically kind of new to Japanese market, but I do some things to look at it and see if I can make any informed decisions of how to invest and where I can put money in. Like, do I buy singles? Do I buy a release? Do I pre-order? Do I I'll wait for it. It's quite different from the English market, and so a lot of people who, especially, I think a lot of people who watch Pokemon investing videos probably live in the United States, especially if you're watching an English one. And so a lot of us are used to the typical booster box pricing, where the set's around for about 2 years. I think I have Surging Sparks up. Yeah, so the data for the English market's a little better sometimes, especially for popular products like booster boxes, booster bundles. Like there's just usually enough volume being bought that you get like kind of smoothish curves. And TCG Player recently added like the number of items sold, and it's not representative of like all the things sold, but it gives you it's like one of the references that most people agree on that it's the source for English pricing more or less. Like sometimes there are some factors that if you don't know, you'll buy into it when you could have gotten better price other times. Like I mentioned before, at Stellar Crown, it's like about like 120, 125, somewhere around there. But you can still get like close to 100 other places. Versus other things, like it's kind of more appropriately priced. And then for other sites, you can look at for like sales tax or for your shipping costs or whatever. But overall, like it's a good benchmark for the market because when you try to negotiate, a lot of people will look at the TCG player price and say, okay, well that's the market price, so I want like a price based on that. Japanese prices are a little different for a few various reasons. One of them, the price structure is just kind of different. So I just pull up. So like these aren't necessarily accurate prices. I feel like, and that's sort of part of the problem. Um, but usually a lot of booster boxes for Japanese like at release, they're usually around, I'll say around $40, like somewhere between 30 and 50. You can like pre-order or maybe a release and get them out. Like you see a lot of these are recent sets, they all hover around like 50, 40, 40 something, 30. Um, you go back far enough, the sets get older and older, so age kind of influences it. But the floor is just a little different, and a lot of times there's fewer packs. So sometimes you get like 30 pack booster boxes. I think those are the most common. So it's the size of the like number of packs is comparable to a normal booster box, which is like obviously it's way cheaper. Like a normal English one's about 100. Um, but it's just not always obvious like what price to get at, because like if you buy it at 30 and the set doesn't do so well, maybe it'll go down like below that. Um, and yeah, and also when you pre-order a Japanese booster box, you're not always sure what's going to be in the sets. Versus for English, usually there's a Japanese release beforehand, and you can kind of like infer what cards will be in it. Like when Paradise Dragona was released, then we gotta look at what it was probably going to be inside Searching Sparks. Like there's a Latias cards and Latios cards. And then when Super Electric Breaker came out, they were like, okay, now I see where the Pikachu and I see a lot of other cards. Because how they make the English sets is that sometimes they'll combine like two booster boxes to make another set. Like this was Searching Sparks, Super Electric Breaker, Paradise Dragona. I know that Mask Change and Crimson Haze is Twilight Masquerade. Um, and then when you invest in this, like sometimes if you're looking for a certain chase card, because a lot of sets have like a certain chase card, like Twilight Masquerade, the Greninja, like even though the art of this is the same as Twilight Masquerade, it's actually this set that you want. So it's important to just know that some sets are kind of more lackluster than others. But yeah, again, the pricing is kind of different. So like in Pokemon, standard booster box price, like you expect around like 80 to 110 for English, and then like MSRP is like at the Pokemon Store is like 160. So like you always want something like between that price usually. You're not gonna pay more than 160. For Japanese, like you can get in Japan for let's say like $35. Like I think Terastal Festival sold for like 35 at Pokemon Center. I don't know about fees and taxes and stuff, but like shipped over here, like no one was really selling it for less than I'd say like around 50. Maybe you got like high 40s. Like, usually you wouldn't be able to get like a better deal. Let's say like a coupon or something. And then right now the prices like I go out like it's like there's not like one source, but just to like peruse like what could you get at, like I see a bunch of set like 70s, and like not even accounting for shipping or taxes, like it's like 70 to 80 on a lot of these. Like this is 62, but then there's like $6 shipping, so it's like more 68. And if I just go on like normal, like just search, yeah, like a lot of these are like higher. Like I think this is like 65 and whatever. Like I'd say right now, I personally like if I want to buy it now, I try to see if I can get it in like the 50 to 60 range. That's probably like um, that was around the price you get beforehand, unless you got lucky. But like right now, like it's probably like really lucky price, unless you live in Japan or something. But like how do these sets kind of do like Terrestrial Festival? Like a lot of people don't even know how many packs there are. There's 10 packs in these booster boxes at normal. So like these are just some of the things I want to go over. And like some of the data sources I'm going to show you are like less reliable, and it just shows you, it just tells you like this isn't perfect, and I don't know necessarily if you should invest there or not or buy singles or whatever. But these are just sort of like definitely free information sources available. Like these are things I didn't pay for. um, I'd say like the most robust thing you can do is actually to like I'm on Pokedata, and Pokedata is actually pretty good with this. Their booster box pricing is sometimes a little iffy. Like these prices are a little iffy. Like sometimes you get more, sometimes you get less. Um, but the prices of the cards aren't usually too bad, especially in the sets like at like Super Electric Breaker. Like this is nice to compare because okay, let's say Surging Sparks is like $200 something right now, and Super Electric Breaker is like $50, so it's like a quarter of the price. Like, is it worth getting possibly to invest in? It's like, well, I still get this Pikachu. The Pikachu is worth like 240, 250, and then the English one's like 500. So maybe that's not like a bad deal. Like you, and you also want to think of like collector's mind point. Like some people just want to open the cards, but some people like don't want the Japanese text. But these are all factors people think of when they invest in Japanese. I heard Nostalgianomics say that usually for English, the gold standard is kind of boost English booster boxes, but you know that not every set has a booster box. Even like great sets like 151 and Crown Zenith, um, and like lesser sets like Shroud Fable, like they don't have booster boxes. So the most you can kind of get is like an ETB, like booster bundle, maybe Ultra Premium Collection. Um, but Japanese, like I think, always has a certain booster box. Sometimes they're just smaller, and so sometimes it's just nice to invest in booster box, and like they're more compact. And I've heard that a lot of times the specialty sets in English, they do worse in English. Like there's exceptions like 151 English, obviously, but a lot of times like um, since there's no booster box, I feel like the Japanese version is just a little more attractive in some ways. But so yeah, but the way I would look at it sometimes is like you can still look at analysis like what's the total value of the set. So like it's like $650. Like this is like the total value of Super Electric Breaker is worth more than some English booster boxes. To have like more cards, and usually English cards are like worth more. Like um, but sometimes like there's cards that like I like to look at the sets that actually have good chase cards. So let's see, like Paradise Dragona has like the Latios. Oh, the Sia has taken it, but like you see, like okay, so you can't get a top chase card in there, so it might be worth the money. Versus like this is one of the Twilight Masquerade changes, massive change, and like I guess the car minus 62, but like yeah, some of the other cards are doing like okay, or like sometimes you might want to be like okay, the price might be okay, but I don't really like the cards. But these are just things like these prices are just a little more accurate like booster box pricing, so you can just guess that like if some set just has really lackluster cards, and you can't really tell unless you look at the cards themselves. But you don't really know that if you haven't looked at Japanese cards before. So this is like Paradox Rift. This does have the Groudon though, so like if I want to invest in Paradox Rift, I want the stuff with Groudon, not just the Altaria. But like these two are top chase cards of Paradox Rift. So honestly, I don't know if I'd really invest in this Future Flash. Like Ancient Roar has the Roaring Moon. I actually don't know where the Groudon is actually. Um, but yeah, so like Terastal Festival, you can get like an estimate of the prices, and like I even look at this just to see how well Prismatic Evolution will do. So like these prices haven't changed, I feel like that much, but you just get a sense of like okay, so I see a lot of cards that are being released. How much are they worth? Well, Umbreon's doing great. Sylveon's doing pretty good. There's Skull Pikachu. All the Eevees are doing pretty good. Like some of the other sets like their highest chase card is like $60, and there's already like 11 cards beating it. So like the so far like the set itself, the cards in there seem really good, and other cards are just a little not as good. It doesn't always map to English, but like there is like a lot of like similarities. And then like the Greninja from Crimson Haze, um, it's like 102 versus in English it's like 300. So um, yeah, these are like this is where I think there's a little more accurate pricing data, unless you want to just individually go into singles. But like I like Poke data because it has all this data like right here. Um, okay, so what else? So how else would I look at Terrestrial Festival? Um, I already told you like you can look at the booster box prices. So how much is the prices going up? It's only been like 2 3 days since release, and like yeah, the prices were not this high before. Like sometimes if you like looked at a sellers who are trying to like sell a little higher, but yeah, like it's more you just look at opportunity. Like before it was like you get around the 50s pretty easily, I think, and now it's more like 60, 70, 80, especially after tax and fees. Because like even if there's some sites selling for more, if you know which sites you go to, um, then you'll be able to find like no tax or just like whatever. Um, but it's just like a sort of a different game from for English cards. Um, the other thing about Japanese is that Japanese the reprint cycle seems a little more free flowy. I feel like like English booster boxes have a little more predictable reprint cycle where a lot like there's been exceptions, but a lot of times like some sets will never get reprinted, and like sometimes like okay like um sometimes it's a little easier to just get information about distribution. But English stuff, it's like okay, seems like it's all dried out. We're not expecting a reprint. Like right now for Scarlet and Violet, you're not really expecting much more reprints for Scarlet 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's like Paradox, Paldea, Obsidian, and Paradox. I might say something twice. Or but like something like Stellar just came out. Like there's no talk about reprint, but you're like I'm probably gonna get one. But even then, like you don't really know like if it's gonna affect the price much. But yeah, I like to look at Poke data to see like actual data. Like I look at eBay too if there's specific cards, but like Poke data just has like all the cards, and like I'll like to look at maybe like similar sets to look at potential. So like 151, like it's crazy. Like Terrestrial Fossil is 1800, but 151 has 3400, and why? Like so the Charizard in English is like one I think one of the most expensive cards at like 200 300. It's like 100 in English. But like the more expensive cards than that are actually this Pikachu. This Pikachu is like worth like double. And why is that? It's because in Japanese, like sometimes there's different like characteristics. Like they're in Japanese, like this is the first time they introduced Master Balls, where a lot of people have heard of this already. But like see like there's all these balls here, and since there's like little circles here, and those are Master Balls, and so like I think that there's one Master Ball inside each Japanese booster box, and that's why they're just hard to get because like there's people who want to collect all of them. But the really popular with Pikachu is not surprising because like Pikachu is such a famous Pokemon. People really like Gengar enough that they want that. Um, and yeah, so yeah, you'll see a lot more like Master Ball holos in like over here versus I guess if I could just look at English 151, like like you just see I think that's Pokemon based more on the art and stuff. Like there you have the big three evolutions and Zapdos and like they're just a lot of them are just like the three big three and their evolutions at the beginning, and then like mixed in between is like the Zapdos, Alakazam. But these are honestly like this is more like I like the art or just the nostalgia part of it, and it's a little more consistent. Versus in Japanese, like there's a lot of like mixed in cards. Where like honestly like it like if this was just a common Gengar, like there's probably a common one down there. Like it's not gonna be worth $100. Um, yeah, Japanese boxes also just have like guaranteed pull rates. Like in Terrestrial Festival, there's like one SIR guaranteed per box, and Master Balls aren't always guaranteed. And so like that just plays into effect of stuff. Like Prismatic's gonna have some Master Balls, so that'll affect things. But for 151, like the reason why Japanese got so expensive was probably because of the Master Balls. But again, like I think it's because Japanese is being like bought by the whole world. Um, that like people will buy out the Japanese, and then they want to make sure that like people can get them. So they just keep reprinting them. Um, so if you want to know more about like what Japanese sets are available, like I like to look at Bobapedia. I just Google like list of Japanese trading card games, or a list of Japanese sets. I'll do that for English too, but you just get a sense of that. So like Scarlet and Violet is down here. So you just get a sense of like, oh, like what is the date? They even tell you like what set it's supposed to be. So like this is Parapaldi of Triple B. This has the Magic Carp versus like another one won't have it. There's 151. Twilight Masquerade, Crimson Haze, Night Wanderer, Shroud Fable. But you want to look at the cards, make sure there's a match on. And then like there's different namings, and like I think the most distinctive one's high class set. High class set usually refers to some special set, and so like in Japan it was Shiny Treasures, which was released just about a year ago actually, and it was mimicking Palladium Fates, and so like no like Palladium Fates is doing great right now. Um, I think Shiny Treasures. Um, where is it? So Shiny Treasures, but it has like all the top chase cards of Palladium Fates, especially Spellbomb, which is going high. So like I felt like that this was a pretty good buy, and also like the market kind of agreed because Shiny Fates had was like it was at least like 100, like 90 to 100 before, and now it's like it's been reprinted and stuff, so it's closer back to 40. Are these just opportunities? Like you know that there's good cards in them because people in English buy Palladium Fates and stuff. But this is where like the data gets definitely worse. Um, because like there's only so many sites that'll have graphs, and so like I know price charting does like for Japanese non English stuff, like you can go price charting, but a lot of times it only show you like pretty much a year's worth, and so like this is a little more than a year, but you'll see. I like to look at this because I get to see just potential. It seems like though there was an event about a year ago that caused like a massive price increase because like 151 had it was around like one this is like 200 territory, and now it's like back to 100. At some point it was like 60, actually more like 50. So like the pricing is kind of slow here, but you do see some of the significant like drops. And I think what happened, if I look at the date, so like this is me compiling different sources, is like part of it's like there's an event that happened in like mid early like March, April, May, June 2023, because you can see it on some of these graphs. And then I think the most significant one was V Star Universe. V Star Universe, it goes from like 80, 90 to 230 all the way back to 130. Like it's just like what happened here. This is like April to May, and like that was around when 151 was released. So I don't really know this for sure. Like I'd have to like look at the news sources and stuff. But it's like if you haven't been in the hobby this whole time, it's like what do I do now? It's like well with the data available, it seems like maybe the 151 was so popular. I knew it was popular in English, but that like it made prices go higher. And I think at release like it was just selling for a lot, maybe like $100 a box at release, even though MSRP is like close to like 40 in like USD. Um, but yeah, the most pronounced was definitely this V-Star universe. So like I pulled up some of the booster boxes I knew had a significant price rise, but when I looked at the data, I was like they're all around this like May, March, April, June 2023 moment. So it seemed like Japan had a boom, and like things, and like I also know a lot of these got reprints. So like, um, yeah, this is like a whole like eight. I don't know. That's at least 8 months of just like $200 Japanese 151 booster box. I know a lot of people got hurt by that because it went down to 50. It's like a quarter of the price. And now it's recovering. But I know there's the big reprints around this time, and that's what made the price go down. And then like these other sets got reprinted too. I know like Shiny Treasures used to be a lot. Like here only shows you from like around January or a little past that this year. But yeah, like Shiny Treasures, it was like people thought it was a good set, and it just like went down to like the 40 like now like you get 30s at some point. And like the trend has just kind of followed. There's been like a dip. Japanese has been going down. Like Lost Abyss got reprinted. This is Lost Origin. So it's not like a specialty set in English, but even this with the Giratina, like it's also just an older set because Lost Abyss was released in Sword and Shield era. Let me just find it because yeah, it was released in like a little over 2 years ago, and so like it just really affects the box pricing. And then like Visa Universe is kind of Zenith. It had like the big dip or the big thing, and then now it went back down. It's like, I could get Visa Universe for like 60 at some point. And it's like 67 there. Also, price charting has this thing where I actually show you the sales that it gets the data from. So sometimes like the pricing is a little slow, but you can kind of see like some of the eBay pricing. Because like that's why people like TCG Player, because it's real sales. People are actually paying that price. This is Incandescent Arcana. This got reprinted, but this is Silver Tempest. And so this 150 is like more than like what the booster box is selling for, or about the same thing as in English. So this is also around that time. Like booster boxes just got a big jump, and then it got reprinted, and then it went back to around 50. But this is like also an older set. Um, yeah, Paradigm. Oh wait, sorry, it wasn't Incandescent Arcana. It was Paradigm Trigger. But yeah, that was a little like just over 2 years ago. It's just crazy because like if you bought this early on, it was probably close to like 50, 40, and like it just kind of went back down. So like that's kind of the danger of going with these Japanese sets sometimes. Like sometimes the reprints just hit you hard. People don't expect it. And then like I just put up some two other high class sets like VMAX Climax and Japanese Shining Star V. I just looked at the high class list. Um, Shiny Star, yeah, like high class expansion sets. See if I could compare Terastal Festival, and like yeah, like these also had the big jump or the jump, and then like goes back down. So that's kind of the danger. Like a lot of English boxes just keep going up at some point, because it's not usually a big reprint at some point. But there are historical videos like Rudy Alpha Investment talks about that, like Roaring Skies and whatever. Um, but yeah, so it's like I like to see that like Japanese booster boxes, you have potential to get to like the 100s, 200s, or whatever. Because if you bought in at like let's say 50 or 60 or 70 Trust Festival, you're like it's such a good set that you might keep going up, but you're just always risking the reprints. Um, so I think that's mostly it. Like I told you, it's not perfect. Like there's probably like paid versions of data you can put in, if you can track this over time. But this is just data that I kind of already knew about, or like I confirmed, and this is kind of how I look at the market for Japanese. I think the last thing was like TCG Player actually started selling Japanese. So it's relatively new though, and the prices are kind of wonky to be honest. Sometimes they're a little higher, but eventually like that will be a good source. I feel like, or a decent source. But some of the booster boxes like they're selling just a little higher lore, but like the only way I could see like booster boxes was I just I put sealed products. I just sort for high to low, so that I get the booster box out the packs. So like a lot of these are really popular sets. Like EV Heroes is like for Evolving Skies with Umbreon. This is a kind of outlier, like Evolving Skies, but like this Fusion Arts. So this was like Fusion Strike, but like and here like the booster box is done better because this was probably selling like this is like 3 times. I guess it might be about the same depending on what price you got. Um, and yeah, like you can look at this to see what prices are, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know if you have any comments or anything else. Like I know it's pretty disorganized, it's not perfect, but yeah, like it's a little hard to analyze Japanese data, um, especially with like the poor data sources. Maybe there's better ones, but I can't read Japanese. But I hope it helps, and thanks. Bye.